Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and watching The Night Raven. If you've been here before, The Night Raven is a network. Will feature several people, several other podcasts. I have different topics, different things to talk about. If you like the different things, paranormal, mysterious, this is definitely your place to go and to be and to watch. So thank you for tuning in. Today, we'll talk about medicine and realities, and I'll talk about this with Jim. So, Jim is a shamanic practitioner, and he comes on every so often, and I'm really grateful he does because I always say he has all the answers. He always says, no, he doesn't, but I really think he does. He knows a lot, and I'm glad he's here, he's with us, and he comes back to talk to us about stuff. So, again, today it's realities and medicine, or medicine and realities. So, Jim, what is medicine and realities from your perspective? Is this something that's two different things, or is it connected in some way? What do you think?
Well, as a shamanic practitioner, uh, by definition, shamanic practitioners use different methods to access different sort of dimensions or realities, right?
Yeah.
Non-standard realities, things that you wouldn't normally see in your everyday day-to-day life. So,
Right.
I personally think that those sort of dimensions and realities, those other worlds, are really just inner worlds to me, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily that you're accessing anything outside of yourself.
Gotcha.
It's just different sort of maybe vibrational states or different things within
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Right.
So that's sort of the realities that I mean, you know.
Gotcha. So does the word medicine mean something different in shamanic traditions? Is it beyond the physical sense of pharmaceuticals then?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So when I say medicine, science will talk about psychedelics.
Okay.
That's kind of a broad term, and for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, you could Google it, but psychedelics are a class of hallucinogenic drug.
Right. Yes.
Um, I should clarify, drugs to me are things that you have to put together in a lab, right? So
Okay.
LSD, while it would be a psychedelic, I
Mm-hmm.
would not consider that medicine.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because
Ketamine,
it's kind of it's fabricated, so somebody makes that, right? Is
right?
that why? Okay.
And because it's made, right, and you have to put
Mm-hmm.
things together, then it can be influenced, right?
Oh, that makes sense.
So
Yes.
you can have a different potency. You can make a bad batch. There's a human element in there um, that makes it a drug. And while I think
Mm-hmm.
there's value for right now, they're using ketamine, which is a
Mm-hmm.
dissociative. They're using that. They're pushing the dissociative aspects over into like a psychedelic. I do not believe it's that. I mean, it
Oh,
was
okay.
originally a horse tranquilizer, but it's a drug.
That's kind of what I thought. I mean, I don't know how I came across that the first time I heard about it, but I thought it was in they used it for horses in some way, and I'm like, how did humans kind of got a hold of that and using it? I couldn't figure this out, but I guess they're doing it.
So, what they were finding for people in Afghanistan on a real 20-year war that they would drive over a landmine and get blown all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the ketamine was useful to put them in a dissociative state for pain management,
Oh,
right?
gotcha.
And in that dissociative state, they started finding all these other things were happening. So they
Oh.
decided to keep doing research with that. Like maybe we can do some therapy with that. And so it's all kind of spurring off a side effect of something else, right?
Yes, yes.
So when I talk about medicines, me personally, I would use that to describe psychedelics. The term psychedelic was coined in 1957. We can thank Aldous Huxley and crew for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what prior to 1957, what did we call it? And what
Mm-hmm.
did people in antiquity call it? So when I talk about medicines, I'm specifically talking about plants as helpers and teachers, right? And that would be
Correct. Yes.
San Pedro cactus, which has a long cultural significance in South America,
Uh-huh.
contains mescaline. Peyote in our Southwest and deserts in Mexico contains mescaline.
What
Uh,
is that? What is it called?
mescaline.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that is another psychedelic class drug, right?
Oh, okay.
I would consider that medicine because it comes from a plant. Um,
Okay, I understand.
Psychedelic mushrooms are, you know, they have synthetic psilocybin, but that's not the medicine, right? That's a
Mm-hmm.
component of the medicine. The mushroom itself has maybe 10 or 12 active ingredients in it. So it's not just one thing. It's primarily one thing, but there are these other things. And then so it all acts as an entourage effect. So
Okay.
that would be medicine to me. It's not plant related, but there's a tradition. There's a frog that has a psychedelic like secretion in it, and
Yeah.
that's not my medicine, but so it's naturally occurring, right?
Yes, and I've heard about that frog, and they're using it for something, or they're making something out of it. I can't really, I can't remember exactly what it is, but I've heard about that. Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's traumatic for the frog, right? Um,
Yeah.
you can either lick the frog, or this frog has glands on its back that secrete this stuff. So
Yeah.
you pick the frog up and squeeze the gland, and then it squirts out on a piece of glass, and then you let it dry, and then scrape
Mm.
up the crystallized residual. Yeah.
Holy
So
moly.
I don't know that I would. Maybe you could count that as medicine. I wouldn't particularly.
Right.
Of
Exactly.
course, the you know the grand prize winner would be ayahuasca in the South American jungle, and that's
Yes. Yes.
so that's DMT. Uh, DMT is naturally occurring in just about everything, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
occurring. The weird thing about DMT is it's if you ingest it, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's destroyed in the stomach. So
Oh.
now, as far as ayahuasca, I personally I would consider that a drug because you have DMT. They use a particular vine or plant leaves that has the DMT. They mix it with a vine that inhibits the breakdown in the stomach, right?
Oh, so okay.
So that's like I said, that's the top of the top for a psychedelic. For me, I'm still going to consider that a drug because it has to be compounded. It has to be mixed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't mix it right, then it won't come out right. So,
Right.
so when I say medicines, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what grows. And,
Understand.
and
So
there's
yeah, go ahead.
morning glory seeds have an effect. Jimson weed has an effect, and all that's been used at some point, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess plant medicine is the original medicine, I guess, before pharmaceuticals came in. That's how I feel.
Yes, and so this medicine would be more of psychedelic means mind expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so this is more of a less of a curative thing and more for spirit or expand your consciousness
Mm-hmm.
for healing and mostly teachers, right? I think peyote and San Pedro is used more as a teacher than a medicine, but maybe sometimes that is the medicine we need is
Understood. Yes.
to have a teacher. It, and so these sorts of things have now been classed in the 70s. They came up with a term, they called it an entheogen.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are these psychedelic compounds and plants that are used primarily in a spiritual context or for a ceremonial context.
Okay.
And so I guess that's it for me is the medicine because
Mm-hmm.
all these typical psychedelic things you can use them recreationally or you
Mm-hmm.
can use them ceremonially. And
Understood.
in ceremony, it's completely different. It could be a completely different outcome than recreationally. And how do you determine the difference, right?
Yeah, I
So,
was going to ask you what makes it different?
okay, so for example, you can. I think one is, people would say they take mushrooms and they want to go to a concert, right, to experience a
Mm-hmm.
concert or a light show,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's a doing thing, right? Or they want
Right.
to hug trees or what. That's a they take the medicine to do. Pretty much in my mind makes it a recreational thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, or LSD or whatever. For the most part, they have an altered sensory experience, and it can be good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it could be a little bit bad, but for the most part, it's good, and they have a good time, and they feel like something's different. But to actually sit with the medicine and ceremony, and
Mm-hmm.
take that step to surrender to the experience is different, right? So you're not in front of the medicine. It's you're having that experience, whatever comes up in that experience, and I might be a little bit biased, but I think I think the medicine would generally show you what you need to see at the time, right?
And okay, yeah,
And it may not be what you think you want to have, but see
yeah.
that's what I mean about getting in front of the medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you ingest the medicine, you open yourself to the wisdom of it, and then you sit back and enjoy the ride, basically, right? So,
Yeah.
which can be a lot for some people,
Yeah. Yeah.
typically people that have control issues. It's like doing a trust fall, right? And so if somebody would have a hard time doing a trust fall,
Mm-hmm.
falling backwards, then trust me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they might have a hard time with that experience.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that about that you may not be getting what you want, but you're getting what you need. Because when I do readings for people, they always have certain questions. And I always tell them, spirit really decides what's good for you at this point in your life. So they will always give you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So I think that's kind of like a common denominator throughout some spiritual things, that you always get what you need, not what you want.
Yes, yes, and so in using these medicines in ceremony, it's always good to it's ceremony, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it should be
Mm-hmm.
very intentional. It should be very thought out. It's to my way of thinking, it's a very sacred experience, right?
Right, right.
Because you're opening yourself up to the spirit of the plant, to the plant medicine. Uh, I truly think it's a gift to humanity if used properly, right?
Yep.
If not, it could not be. It could go very bad very fast. But for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a gift to humanity, and this is something that grows, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's been here for a long time. There were some theories about. I've heard it mentioned the stoned ape theory. So there were these unconscious, unaware primates that were
Uh-huh.
foraging for food and the dung and feces of larger animals, and these mushrooms just grew, and then they ate the mushrooms and then had these experiences, right?
I heard that. I can't remember where, but I did hear that. Maybe you told me, I don't know, but I heard that somewhere. Yeah, you're right.
So we can't prove it, but it
Yeah,
is.
that's true.
It's. I'm very interested in at what point we as primates became conscious, right?
I've been just thinking about that the other day. It's like, I mean, all this plant medicine is like, how do we figure this out? Or how did we figure this out in the past? I mean, did we just try stuff and then somebody had to die before we figured out, oh, this is not good for us? I mean, how did we come to know about all that stuff? It's kind
Yeah,
of wild to think about that,
yeah, for
you know?
thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah. It's like, you try this first and then we'll figure it out? It's like,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of wild to think about that.
yeah, and so like these medicines, these psychedelic medicines grow all over the planet, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
they're everywhere. Uh, so every culture coming up through antiquity and development had access to these,
Yeah.
um, and it's part of their ancestral right, and they pass that on. So it's
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, and I love that science is starting to do research with it.
Mm-hmm.
What I do not love is how science is trying to impose their agenda on it.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Um, Whereas I love the mushrooms as a sacred medicine, I would not be interested in some laboratory synthetic psilocybin,
Gotcha.
uh, because
But
I
they will probably make it.
We are making it, and the
Oh,
research
you are already? Okay.
the research they're doing with synthetic laboratory quality psilocybin.
Interesting. I did not know that.
They're not doing the research with the medicine as the creators give it to
They're
them.
just recreating it so they can probably sell it or make some money off of it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so these things grow on rotten wood. They grow in cow dung. They grow everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And to use that medicine is a very personal experience
Mm-hmm.
between the person that's taking the medicine and the medicine. And I don't see, because it's mind expanding, right? And so I don't see where there's room for anybody else in that personally.
Yeah.
Uh, I I
Yeah.
sort of I sort of feel the same way about organized religions, right? I mean,
Yeah.
your relationship with God, Creator, whatever term you use for deity, it should be your
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And I don't feel like anybody needs a middleman for that.
No.
I don't think you need a priest, right,
No. No.
to pass on that sort of communication and knowledge. So
No, I agree. I agree. So I guess the difference between like shamanic medicine and modern medicine would be whether or not it's grown, it's planted, or if it's fabricated in a lab. Do you think that's kind of what it's
yeah,
how we
so
can define it?
most shamanic practitioners are looking for that sort of balance and relationship between the natural world and us.
Okay.
As I said before, like we're not outside of nature; we are nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so, plants we use for, typically we would use pharmaceuticals for respiratory ailments or
Mm-hmm.
uh, gut ailments, but all that's grown in nature, and it's probably just as far as your closest city park or your front yard, right?
Gotcha. Yes.
We've been taken away from that too. So, but I really think the psychedelic medicines are the medicines for the for the spirit, probably. Um,
That is so interesting. So what I'm wondering when you say that is, can you explain the idea that every person carries their own medicine? Is it like what you just described where you maybe you ingest something and then it's mind expanding? So how does this function as medicine? Do you know what I mean? Because most people think that you take a pill and then it takes your pain away, or it cures, not cures, but it helps you with your diabetes. So I guess that's a whole different mindset when you say you it's a mind expansion or it's a ritual. How can that function as medicine in a human body?
uh, okay, so I think a lot of times the things that people suffer from spiritually or mentally, kind of self-imposed, or they're stuck in a trauma loop, or
Okay.
it's things they're doing to yourself, right?
Right. Hmm.
And so what I've found about the psychedelic medicines is it's very good at maybe showing you those trauma loops, right? Or
Okay.
showing you another way of looking at things, or uh, as far as like if you were to set the intention to release uh, something, or release a trauma or an energy, the medicine would be very good about showing you the thing that you need to release, right?
Hmm.
It sort of targets things specifically like that, but in a weird way, right? So it's because I've had people that worry about reliving a trauma and they don't want to relive a trauma, but it's not like
Yeah,
that.
that makes sense. Yes. Hmm.
So what they're I years ago I described these sorts of medicines as the reason I think it's a gift is because it lets what we typically observe with,
Hmm.
it sort of splits that, and
Hmm.
it gives you a way to observe the observer, right?
Okay.
And so the consciousness that you typically kind of process things with, it lets you look at the method, how that's working, right?
Hmm.
And it lets you watch that consciousness do the process and say, oh well, this could be like this, or this could be like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a little different. And like I said, I think everybody could benefit from it, but it's not for everybody, right?
But do you think that everybody carries their own medicine in a way that we know what to do to heal our bodies? I mean, a broken bone, obviously, we probably need some help with, when we go to the emergency room. But in a way, do you feel like that we carry our own healing already inside of us, in a way? And that medicine that we ingest like helps us to unlock that? Is that kind of how it works? Or?
Maybe. I mean, so what those sort of psychedelic medicines do is they get different areas of your brain to fire off and work in different ways.
Okay.
And so it maybe, it's kind of mind expanding in a way because it gets different parts of your brain connected
Mm-hmm.
or in sync that maybe weren't in sync. So it helps you to think about things in a different way, right?
Okay.
It helps you to process things in a different way. And there's, it's kind of a rule of thumb, right? I mean, if we keep doing things the same way every time, then we get the same outcome.
Yes, of course.
And
Absolutely.
so in order to shake that up, we have to sort of think outside the box
Mm-hmm.
and do something a little bit for a different outcome. We desire a different outcome, then we have to typically have a different process to get there.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
So I think it's really good for that.
Have you ever, and I don't know if that's something that I can ask on a show, but have you ever administered a ceremony, or what does this look like? I mean, do you need, when somebody ingests something, do they need somebody there, or is it something they can do on their own? What's your recommendation? Or does somebody have to be really schooled or experienced with helping somebody through, like an ayahuasca medicine? I mean, I know it's in South America, but I've never done this before. But I mean, the ceremony maybe have the same mechanics, whether, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's set and setting for the thing is most of it, right? So you want to make
Okay.
sure you're in a good place
Mm-hmm.
emotionally and energetically. You don't have a lot of you want to make sure you're in a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have random strangers coming in the door and
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
so you want to treat it like something that's significant and sacred, right?
Okay.
And then set an intention, of course, for the ceremony, what you want, what you hope to expect, or the outcome you desire from the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And once the medicine's digested, really it's you have to get behind it now, right? Because it's you have to let go. You have to do that surrender, right?
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
It's a trust thing. So you know if you were to say, well, no, this should be happening or this should be happening by now, then that's only going to create anxiety later, right? So
Interesting. Okay, I understand.
yeah.
So you kind of completely just give into it and let it do its thing, I guess.
Well, that's best, right? That's best, and it's it's good to know that people worry about being taken away, or it's not really a hallucination. You're never to the point where you're not aware that you having an experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will say with most of those ceremonies, the more you lean into it, the more you get out of it, right?
Sure.
So the
Yes.
more you can let go and surrender, the better it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And then do people usually feel like an effect right away? Not an effect as in if it works or not, but when they come out of it, is it like, oh, I've been healed, or is it like, oh, I know what to do? So what's the aftermath of that? Can you?
so for most people I've seen, they do have some realizations
Mm-hmm.
in the thing. It's but there should be a period of integration afterwards, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you want to sort of talk about the things that happened. You want to process what happened because otherwise, it's just if you don't integrate the experience and make it part of yourself and like sit through it, then it's just this really wild thing that happened,
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't take the meaning out of it, then it's not much different than recreational.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I can't think of when I had somebody that didn't like pull something out of that was useful, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's just so hard to explain it because there's so much that we put on language here in this
Mm-hmm.
that in that moment in that experience is not language. It's not language based, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes.
And then so to try to come back out of that and then put words on the thing.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to do. Yes.
Yeah, so like I'm skeptical when I see people on YouTube that um, they have a 30-minute thing describing what happened to them or all this. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
really,
guess.
I don't
Yeah.
really think that was that experience because I've had some experiences where I come out of that it's like what happened. There's no words for any of this, but I understand it. I
Yes, I know.
understand
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
it.
Sometimes I have a hard time when I do. I can only like give examples when I do readings for people, but sometimes I struggle to have the words for what I'm hearing. And I always tell them it's like it's not that I don't know what I'm doing. It's just like those divine messages or thoughts or feelings that they're giving me, that spirit giving me. It's hard. There are not enough human words to describe that. And so I understand that. I mean, it's like it's hard to describe what you experience. It's like people who have a near death experience, they come back and it's like there are no words for me to describe what I felt or what I went through. So it's hard to describe those things, those spiritual, experiences.
Yeah, and it's different for everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because how I respond on the medicine may not be how you would respond or
Mm-hmm.
else would respond because it gives you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Mm-hmm.
me, in my path, in my practice, I'd done a lot of prep work before I ever came to the medicine, right?
Yeah.
So typically a lot of the shadow work stuff and that sort of integration and working through things I'd already done. So I didn't.
Understand.
It was great. I didn't have to go through that hard work part of it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was more of a teaching experience to start with. So
Do you think on a physical level it kind of rewires your brain a little bit? So when people have like, I think they use things for like people with PTSD or traumatic experiences. So I'm wondering if it kind of like does something in your brain chemistry to kind of reset things, or on a physical level. Do you know anything about that, or do you have any kind of?
so I read some research, and what they're finding with psilocybin mushrooms is that they call it neuroplasticity,
Mm-hmm.
and the psilocybin with I think vitamin B6, niacin,
Mm-hmm.
and something else has been shown to regrow nerves and nerve pathways. So
Wow.
so it really is reprogramming your brain to it's making those connections, it's regrowing those connections, and it's kind of syncing up the hemispheres. So that's what the research is showing. Of course, it's
Yeah.
they've been doing it 10 or 15 years. The jury's still out. I mean,
Sure.
if they find that to be the case and they publish it and get that off the ground, that's huge.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like a reset, like a factory reset. You start from scratch. I hope. I mean, not that you lose your memories, I'm guessing, but you just get to heal from things.
So I've seen people use it in a microdose for depression.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it for cluster headaches and migraines to good effect.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've seen people with ADD and ADHD uh, microdose it to good effect. So they're not taking these typical things, but they can stay
Mm-hmm.
focused because
Right.
it sort of brings you into the ceremony is sort of 3 or 4 hours of present moment awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the goal of all meditation. I used to think meditation should have something should happen in the meditation, right? It was horrible. I Googled it when I tried to meditate. And everything that said should happen is not what happened. I thought I did it wrong, right? So
Yeah.
20 years later, I came to realization that meditation is only to bring yourself to present moment awareness, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and so sometimes I refer to these medicine ceremonies as a meditation because that's
Mm-hmm.
you're focused in right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
which is really everybody needs that. You
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
so to come out of the experience feeling very light
Mm-hmm.
uh, and not attached to many of the things you were carrying and the weight of that you were carrying earlier. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Wild. There's so many things out there. It's so interesting. But with all that, when we're talking about a spiritual experience, I wonder, I think we can tie this a little bit to reality. So when shamans speak of like walking between the worlds, what does this mean in terms of realities? Does this have something to do with the medicine, or can you go into that a little bit?
Okay, yeah. So some time ago, I'm going to try this for the first time on camera.
Yeah.
When I talk, so this would be about non-ordinary realities, right?
Uh-huh.
And so let's say, can you mind in focus?
Yeah. Is it an onion?
It's an onion.
Okay.
I love onions, right? Onions are great. Onions are great teachers. And so
they're healthy too. They do a lot of things.
yes. And so let's say we're living in this dimension, right?
Uh-huh.
This reality, and this is sort of what we're aware of, right?
Uh-huh.
And then, if you're a psychic or a reader or, a meditator, then maybe you can get to the point where you can pierce this reality. And
Uh-huh.
what we see under the onion is there's a small membrane there that I will call the veil, right?
Okay. Yes, I see it.
It kind of lives in there.
Uh-huh.
So now here's another reality that you can access from this one.
Interesting.
For a shamanic practitioner.
Uh-huh. Oh, he's cutting the onion.
This is our view.
Oh.
So
okay.
There's this reality, or there's this reality. Or,
interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
So it accesses where you can see sort of all those realities at once, right?
Wow. Okay. Well, that brings it into perspective. Thanks for showing that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how well it transfers on camera, but yeah, it looked good in my vision, but yeah. So, and those are our realities, and you see that you can see that they're all coexisting at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? That there's no.
That makes total sense.
So instead of piercing the veil, you sort of get this holographic view.
Uh-huh.
Of the entirety of the thing, right?
Wow.
And so you start to see similarities and commonalities. I think the creator, whatever the nature of the creator was, whatever that vibrational state is, it let's say that's in the center. As it goes out, it still carries a little bit of its own nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think. I mean, when I look around, I sort of see the mystery and the creation of the mystery, and I can see those characteristics in everything, right?
So when you talk about walking between the worlds, what you're saying is like you see all the realities.
You see the veils, and you
see
the dimensions, right?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So altered states.
Interesting is a good word. Overwhelming is a good word too when you first start. Right?
I bet. Yes. So the altered states with the medicine, does it expand or shift your understanding then of reality? Does it help you get it, if that makes sense?
It helps access that.
Okay.
Right. And then there comes a point in time when it's not as necessary. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it could be overwhelming at first. I mean, I've sort of been aware of myself in different timelines. It's
so
awkward.
Basically you exist in different timelines, or everybody exists in different realities. Is that how it kind of
works? Yeah, and so I've seen myself like in a quantum view, like living out 4 or 5 different realities, and to access those, and what is this? This is another version of me in another reality. I'm like, well, this is not home. I don't,
that is interesting. When you do the medicine, or when you have those forms of medicine available, does that, for a regular person like me, for example, would it show me other realities?
It might.
Okay.
So my experience in walking the medicine path is the effects accumulated, right? So it's like it kicked the door open a little bit more each time, and then I didn't have to readdress different things. It just kept open. And now I don't know. I sort of feel like I'm pretty open now, like day to day. So
yeah,
I don't know that I don't know that's as important to me now as helpful as it was, but it was very good for me about showing, like opening the heart space
Mm-hmm.
and realizing that we're all the same, right? Like
Yeah.
the meaning, like namaste or I'm another you. That's me. I can understand it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
now.
Cool.
We really are brothers and sisters, right? Like we really are.
Yeah.
Because I can't. Uh, it's very hard to be judgmental when you realize that if you were in that person's shoes, you could very well have done the same thing, right?
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago, and ironically, it wasn't in a spiritual way, but just training for my work kind of made me realize that you never know the other person's story, and especially when you work someplace where you have a lot. I mean, I work in a place where I have to work with the public, and sometimes the public gets really ugly with me, and I have to remind myself, it's like, I don't know what they're going through, They could be coming from a place of pain, or maybe somebody just passed away, or they're overwhelmed, or maybe they are sick. So, and I have to just kind of tell myself to not ever judge anybody from the place where it's hard. It's not always easy, but yes, we are all one, We're all kind of connected in a way.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Um, so that was part of that was the part of that was the teaching for me to really understand that. You know,
hmm, yeah.
um,
So the other realities, they're not out there then. They're like within
no,
us, right? Or is it both maybe?
they're in you because remember, this medicine is not. It's not anything outside you, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and I tell people that sometimes because it's not uncommon for it to be a very visual experience, and they see like kaleidoscopic looking things with colors or shapes or whatever, right? And it's like, oh, well, that's not outside you. All that is generating with the help of the medicine in your own brain, right? So
Yeah.
all that beautiful, cool stuff you see it's inside you. It's
Mm-hmm.
coming from you. So it's not a thing that's happening to you. This is more your nature, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then at some point it gets with the medicine. A lot of people have a tendency to sort of have that ego dissolution where
Mm-hmm.
their identity for their self, like they sort of lose that connection to the ego.
Mm-hmm.
That can be traumatic for a lot of people.
I remember things that we talked about in the first episode we did, and it was about something about this being disconnected and why it matters. So I feel like that kind of really ties into that, don't you think? Where we're getting disconnected, and thinking everything is out there, but it's not really all out there. It's like within us.
Exactly, and I think these medicines are good for that. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's part of their teaching and their benefit is to sort of remind us of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, the more my ego dissolves, the more I see ego in others, right? And
Yes. Yes.
I don't think like I'm not one of those people that says the ego is horrible and you should get rid of it because it's not. It's absolutely a necessity, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
be responsible, making good decisions, and self preservation, and you need that. Um, but I think it's about putting that ego in right relationship. You know, uh,
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know, you can't do without it, but it should be in the back seat, maybe not the front seat. You know,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
but I see that every day. Um, and I don't just wow. You know,
Yeah.
I try not to judge it because everybody's in a different spot.
Yeah, exactly. You just never know where somebody just came from.
Yeah.
But yeah. What are, I mean, I'm sure, I mean, just talking about those things, I mean, there's sure people out there who are very new to this. So I'm asking, well, can you explain what are some misconceptions that people have about plant medicine? Can you
Uh,
think of anything?
yeah. So it's not. I don't think. I don't think it's a one and done thing, right? I don't think
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna. I mean, anecdotally, I've heard stories of people that you know want to use these to overcome smoking in order to quit drinking, and
Yeah.
they do one supersized dose, and they're all better. And I don't
Oh,
I don't believe
it's
that's,
no, it's not a quick fix, I guess.
yeah, I don't think there's any quick fixes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talked about calling back fragmented souls.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's a 20-minute process and you're done. I don't.
Correct. Yes.
Uh, I think I think the amount of reward is directly proportional to the effort put into it. So, uh, you know, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't think anybody's going to take 2 grams of dried mushrooms and be a completely different person next week.
Do you think one of the misconceptions can be that it's addictive, like physically, like you can be a drug addict?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm 10 years in sobriety from an amphetamine addiction,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 6 or 7 years before I did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it depends on how you value it, right?
Okay.
Because even when I was in the throes of my addiction, I didn't value the drug in the same way like other people value the drug. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I and because I don't see this as a drug, and this isn't a recreational thing for me, then that addiction piece is out of
Right.
it.
Right.
It's intentional. It's done for a purpose. It's not done for fun or feel good pleasure. It's done for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, mushrooms have this weird little thing built into them, right, where it's just almost impossible to become addicted, and it has a tolerance to the
Mm-hmm.
psilocybin. So it stays in your body for 24 to 48 hours. Uh, the tolerance goes through the roof physically, like almost.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to do tomorrow, you take some today. In order to get that
Mm-hmm.
same effect tomorrow, the next day you need to do nearly twice as much.
Oh, wow.
So you doing the math on that, you very quickly get to the point where there's just no possible way you're gonna.
Oh, okay. I understand.
So even on microdose protocols, it's like every third day that they take the mini dose, every other day or every third day, because
Mm-hmm.
of that tolerance issue, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to do it every day to microdose, it's not even gonna, it's just a waste of the effect, really. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's not something that people can lose their house and everything on it by, you know,
oh no, 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 no,
like trying
no.
to like a gambling addiction or something where it's like you use it once and you just can't stop, or
Yeah,
people.
no, it's not like
Oh,
that at all. It's to be honest with you, as far as if you as far as the street's concerned, if you call it a drug, it's the cheapest drug out there. The street value is roughly $10 a gram. Uh, 2 or 3 grams is going to be more than most novices want to deal with to start with, and that might be enough for a lifetime for them, right? So,
wow.
yeah.
But I guess that's why you call it a medicine and not a drug, right? Because it's not something that was manufactured.
Well, right, and so Valium was in the 50s and 60s was mommy's little helper,
Yeah, that's true.
because they got everybody off opium and all the housewives. I was like, well, let's give you some Valium to, you could get little Johnny off to school and get dinner cooked, and this will keep you calm. And then it turned into a drug later, right? And
Yeah.
so amphetamines have been given to combat soldiers in every theater of conflict since World War II, right? Uh, Oddly enough, Japan had a amphetamine epidemic post World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I guess Coca-Cola had real Coke in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's it's kind of, and it's the same thing with a lot of plant medicines. A little bit of
Mm-hmm.
nitrate is therapeutic, and a little bit too much is poison, right? So I think it's how we value it, and that's why I like to I kind of push the issue of this being a spiritual plant or a spiritual medicine.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
lean towards that entheogenic property because I think done in ceremony, like you're not, if you truly do it in ceremony, you're not going to do that ceremony every other day or
God, yeah,
every
exactly.
week.
Yes.
I mean, for my protocol, when I started working with it, I did it once a month, right?
Yes.
full moons typically. Uh, every month, that was my way to feel unburdened and wind down.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's nice.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Right.
leave the comfort of your living room, and it's a 3 or 4 hour thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, but I never felt in using that like I was putting my sobriety at risk at all. So,
Gotcha. Yes. Very good. So when you look at society right now, where we're at in 2025, September of 2025, when you look at society, what do you think that we're most in need of medicine, or what kind of medicine do we need most right now,
uh,
if any?
I still think from our first episode, everything I see happening, I think is because of disconnection, right?
Yeah, I agree. I was just thinking about that as well, that the disconnection and thinking that everybody's on their own and everything is out there where it's really like within us, you
It's
know?
I don't know if there was an intelligent plan somewhere to separate us from the nature of our being and our creator, but
I would think so.
if there wasn't, we sure did accidentally get really disconnected, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be controversial, but I see people the transgender thing, and like they're not comfortable in their body, or they're questioning their self identity. I,
Mm-hmm.
I see people identifying as furry animals and wearing ears and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, like where does it stop? And I'm rooting for everybody, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the best for everybody. But I look at the big picture, and I just see this as a symptom of like whatever's going on,
Something is going on, yeah, where we're not, I guess we're not happy being ourselves, or maybe we're,
Or we don't know who
yeah,
we are, or
exactly. We don't
we,
know who we really are. Yes. Yes, I agree.
we are cut off from uh, whatever you want to call it, the creator, our own divinity,
Uh-huh.
God, the mystery, whatever you want to call it. We are
Yeah.
just so far separate from that.
Mm-hmm.
And because we don't know who we are, right?
Yeah.
We don't
Yes.
have a
Yes, exactly. We don't know who we really are. Yes.
we don't have a spiritual identity. We're not grounded in anything. Then we're just like grabbing everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're grabbing stuff from the media. Are you conservative or liberal or Republican or
Mm-hmm.
Democrat? You're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
we're not born any of those things.
That is true. That is, I totally agree with that.
And, and so because we don't know, we're just grasping at straws.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. I don't know how we can get more disconnected from that.
Yeah.
I had a friend post. Well, I saw it on social media. It was like uh, a meme about spiritual truths or spiritual guidelines, and I think there was 14 of them. Right, it was very
Mm-hmm.
long.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, you almost need a notepad to write all this down, right? Like, uh, you know, um, what was number 12? Let me refer. And
Yeah.
I thought to myself, we're just it just gets more complex. This narrative we tell ourselves gets more complex. But like every religion, Islam, they have the same basic principles, right? So you do unto others the golden rule. You treat others
Mm-hmm.
like you want to be treated, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't murder other human beings. And then
Mm-hmm.
everything else is like the specialty. But those are the first two, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, so that was simple. And so, if we do unto others, if we kind of reduce that to like, spread the love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spread the love and understanding and acceptance that Creator has for us to spread that. It's a very simple thing. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, to my mind, maybe I'm oversimplifying, but I think it's a very simple thing, and I don't know.
I don't know. I was just thinking about like indigenous tribes that still live in the jungle or somewhere away from civilization, and how some people always call them savages or uncivilized. But looking at them or looking at those tribes, I feel like they're more civilized than we are right now because they're more in touch with who they are, more in touch with nature and Mother Earth. And um, yeah, I feel like that we're more out of touch and more of a uncivilized nation right now or world than some of those people who still live like away from us, you know?
Right. Well, and we're slowly but surely corrupting those worlds too, right?
Yes, we do.
Because now, we've created, money has no value other than what we assign to it, but we've assigned
Mm-hmm.
monetary value to things, and we've put into them a desire, right? We put
Mm-hmm.
into them this sort of sense of poverty consciousness, all the things they don't have, that, we've sort of convinced them that you need these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, that might have been one of the 10 commandments or something, thou shalt not covet. Well,
Yeah.
so we're in a system everywhere, right? The entire planet is in this monetary system where we're trying to acquire things. And, you know, in the pursuit of that acquisition, we forget about balance, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's very, yeah. I mean, I don't truly think, unless there's a Polynesian island somewhere where there's a tribe that's been cut off from civilization. I don't know that there's anywhere that's not.
Unless we haven't found them yet, but if we do find them, obviously we're going to do
Yeah.
something about that. But
Well, and even so in Peru, you have
yeah.
these forest people living up the rivers that had their spiritual practice and their ayahuasca ceremonies, and now rich Westerners are coming there and
Yep.
taking a boat ride
Mm-hmm.
so they can spend their money to have this ceremony.
Yep. Exactly.
They go for a weekend, they have the ceremony, and the value's not the ceremony. It's the ceremony. They're living in a certain way, and maybe as a teacher, the ceremony teaches them to live that way. But
Mm-hmm.
Westerners fly there, they take a boat ride, they have the experience, they come
Yeah.
back. Very powerful, right? But
Yep.
their life's not changed.
No.
Um, they might have got a glimpse, a peek at another way, but for the most part, their life's not changed.
We're always looking for an answer, I guess, but I feel like we're so empty inside that we're always looking for something that makes us happy or validates us or brings us back to whatever we're looking for. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? So I feel like that's where the disconnection comes in. I think that's what we're looking for, the connection.
Yeah. So I was just talking to somebody about that today, and is that connection to the creator or the spirit
Mm-hmm.
or God or whatever you want to use? I don't know. I
Yeah.
think I think the vast majority of people have this huge hole in them,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And roughly the shape of their spirit, and
Mm-hmm.
they just keep trying to fill that in with all sorts of outside stuff.
Yeah.
That goes back to what we were talking about healing. You have to heal from the inside out.
Agreed. Yes.
If you get a cut, and it heals too fast on the outside, then it abscesses, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It will burst open again.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't heal until it stays open and heals from the inside out. And I think with that spirit shaped hole is the same way, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that hole has to fill in from the inside out. And then what's really weird is once it gets filled in, these sorts of desires or things you think you need, you don't need anymore, right?
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. Yeah. So before we go, do you have anything for the listeners? So something that they can explore, like in their own medicine path. How can they do this in a safe way?
Um, okay, so if they wanted to use the sacred medicines, I would encourage them to uh, find somebody that has done their own work with the sacred medicines,
Mm-hmm.
especially psychedelic medicines. Um, I would not really encourage them to do that in a group to start with,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
because it can be very personal, and unless
Okay.
you know the group, I don't know. I mean, you don't know
I
what's going.
guess, yeah. I guess they
You
need to
know,
kind of like,
it's set and setting, right?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, and think about it, because it really is a contract you're making with the medicine. So
Mm-hmm.
it I don't think it should be an offhand thing. Uh, it should be well thought out and intentional.
But definitely find somebody who's got some experience. What you say?
Yeah, and then it's not a. I don't think. I think anybody working with that, or facilitating for people or putting themselves out there is this is my medicine. Uh, I don't really think that should be monetized, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
if they're offering to facilitate an experience for you for, a couple $100, I would, I,
Walk.
yeah, I'd pull back on it because it's not what anybody I know that's using the medicine, like legitimately using uh, the medicine as a way to help others or to expand others' consciousness. They're not doing that for money.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some organizations, there's some churches out there. I don't want to call them out, but I want to call them out. So there's a Native American church that
Mm-hmm.
uses peyote as a sacrament.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are Native Americans that go to the Native American church.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly the white Europeans you see that are affiliated with Native American church,
Mm.
not affiliated with the Native American church, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so that's to be thought of too. So what they're doing is they've actually co-opted somebody's Religious Freedom Act for another church, made a little spin-off, and now it's a kind of thing where, 6-figure middle income European descendants can go buy drugs and have an experience, and it's all done under the umbrella of religious freedom.
Oh, I see. Okay. I get it.
So I'm very skeptical about that.
Gotcha.
And then
So I guess, yeah, everybody who's interested in this should really do their research, right?
so like I said, I believe it's a very sacred ceremony. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think not only should the experiencer treat it like a very sacred ceremony, but I think if they're going to have somebody facilitate for them, they should see it as equally sacred.
Okay.
And if they don't, then that's probably not the one.
Good. Well, Jim, I did blend in your email here on the bottom. If anybody's out there interested in getting some guidance, and maybe some guidance, or where to go next, or where to start, or something, or anything, maybe they can email you. You can probably
Yeah.
give them a little bit of advice and as to where to start, where to go, and what's good and what's not good. And so I did blend that in if anybody's interested.
All
But
right.
Jim has all the answers. I always say that, but he always says no. But I believe he does, so I'm going with that story. So, but thank you so much. This was so eye opening. It was great. I really enjoyed this, and thank you so much for coming back today.
Thank you. It's good that we're talking about this because this is like a
Yeah,
buzzword now, right?
yeah,
This is a hot
yes,
topic. Everybody wants to. It's
yeah.
everywhere. It's all
It's
over you.
everywhere.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of misinformation or misrepresentation out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
Well, good. Yeah. Well, people do your research, and if you have questions, email Jim.
all
And
right.
I'll let you all go. Have a good night or day whenever you're watching this. So see you next time. Bye.